was ensnared in a cable used by a plane towing a glider. He was dropping like a stone. So what did he do?
The first I did was switch off the engine. And immediately afterwards, pull the parachute.
He wafted into an orchard and walked away without a scratch.
Here at Sun and Fun in the new Paradise City, looking at an old friend, the CGS Hawk, and a new friend, sort of newer than the airplane anyway to me, Danny DeSosh. I'm Dan Johnson. We're going to talk about the CGS Hawk, and you notice it says Light Sport down here. That's not new. We're going to talk about why this one's new though. First of all, welcome. Glad you're back here. Good to see you again.
Glad to be here and good to see you.
So in the past, let me do a little bit of history here, and then I'm going to ask you about this. In the past, CGS Hawk two-seater version already had SLSA approval for a 582 Rotax powered aircraft and a 912 Rotax powered aircraft. But this doesn't have that. What do we got here, Danny?
This will be the newest SLSA version that we'll offer with the HKS 700E 60 horsepower engine coming out of Japan.
And this one has the ASTM approval on it, this engine already. One of
engine,
only three, the Rotax, the Jabiru, and the HKS.
Right, we're basically limited to 3 engines with our SLSA, which is the 582 Rotax, the 912 Rotax, and the HKS 700E. So this will complete the circle, so to speak, on every engine that configuration we can have as an SLSA. And to follow this up, we will come back with a tail dragger in 582 configuration, and then after that a float plane in 582 configuration, and that'll give us 5 SLSAs, which we therefore can sell ELSA kits equivalent to that SLSA, and that's pretty much going to do it for us as far as what we can do.
That gives
to
you a
offer
pretty
an
full
SLSA.
model lineup now. Now, Danny DeSosh took over from Chuck Slazarchuk, one of the guys that has populated this area for many, many years. A lot of people know that name, even if they can't pronounce the last one. And so that's an interesting thing that Chuck took this thing and launched it pretty well down the path, sold a lot of airplanes as ultralights or kits, experimental amateur built kits. But you took it over then, and you've actually done most of the hard work now at doing SLSA approval, right?
Well, as we know, Chuck developed the Hawk as the first enclosed ultralight. Back in '82 he actually introduced it. They really started selling them in '83, and that was the early '80s was the height of the ultralight industry. And everybody did
sold a lot of
really good
airplanes
then. But in 2005 we were encompassed as light sport by the FAA, and FAA involvement has become more and more over the years. So now it's a totally different animal than what it was when it started.
You have to get approval by DAR on every single one of them.
Every one of them.
Production certificates don't exist here. We do it by individual DAR inspection. Correct. So you've hired some other engineering people, and you've put it through the paces again, brought your documentation up to speed.
Right, starting with the 912 model, which was Chuck developed the 582, and the 912 was in 2009 when I bought the company. I developed the 912, and we went through the entire process of testing the airframe, the wing, the motor mounts, did all the stress testing, everything that we needed to do to have our paperwork in order. Proved the model once again as being the great little airplane that it really is.
Always been a great flying airplane, and since the beginning, and a lot of people have flown it and done all kinds of things to it, and it's survived amazingly well through all those trials in the field. You says light sport on the side of it, but you're not quite done yet. What is exactly you got to do yet, Danny?
What's left on this engine, we really just ran out of time. I've got probably what will amount to a couple of days of flight testing to get our speeds and that stuff in order.
You got to document it all.
Right, got to document it all.
You know what it does, but you got to document
flight
it
procedure, and then we're using Paul Mathers of M Squared, which is my neighbor there in Grand Bay, Alabama, as our DAR, and we'll be submitting the paperwork. I would guesstimate the week or two after Sun and Fun we'll submit the paperwork, and then it's just a matter of waiting on the FAA to process the paperwork, and it'd be official as our newest SLSA model.
And then you can do kits, and then you can do all kinds of stuff once you've got that.
Right, and we'll immediately follow up with this as an ELSA version. And this airplane will actually be going to, which is something I kind of promised when I bought the company and wanted to do, was bring the true meaning of light sport into fruition, which was a less expensive form of training. And everybody in the old ultralight industry knows that training. We're really lacking training, but this airplane will be going to a new facility in Arkansas, with new hangar, new facility. The owner of this aircraft and that company is a 30-something year GA flight instructor, but he's also a light sport DPE, so he'll be able to start you, take you through the course, and sign you off as a DPE. And we're really hoping that this is going to give a cost-effective form of training back to the light sport and the old ultralight people using Hawk, because as you know, a lot of our competition has stayed away from getting involved in the SLSA aspect of it, and I dove in head first, and we plan on having 5 models, which is pretty much as many as we can have to try to
just this particular one we're looking at here with the HKS, which is an engine I personally love a lot, and I think 60 horsepower may not sound like enough for this, but this is a very light airplane, so my guess is that'll perform quite well. The 582 works great, and that's only 5 horsepower more.
Well, we have upwards of 8 or 9 of these same airplanes in the field right now with this engine as kits.
Experimental amateur.
That owners, amateur built our ELSAs that made the switch over back in 2005.
Converted, right, okay.
That once this engine came out had been on there, and so we have a lot of data already on the performance characteristics of this engine in this configuration. And
so it's going to work just fine.
Yeah, it's going to work
So
great.
what kind of money would we be talking about, broad stroke numbers, for this airplane?
This engine, this airplane with the standard instruments that we offered on this unit, you're looking at around $49,995.
Now that's in 2013, so these numbers change, and you can't be held to that because the engine's imported and things can fluctuate. But less than $50,000, ready to fly, 2-seater with, I think there's 1,500 Hawks flying, some number like that.
Yeah, it's 15 to 2,000.
So there's a lot of them out there in the field. It's proven itself for 30 years.
And we sell parts to
now.
Many of the 80s models every
Still
month.
supporting all the old models?
We support everything that's ever been built.
Good for you.
Always will.
Well, that's a lot of information. We'll look forward to hear more after you get that certificate. We'll do some more work with you then. For now, let's have a web address. We'll put it up on the screen so people can see it on their computer, on their TV, wherever they watch these.
Our website is CGS Aviation, one word, .com. And I'm Danny, the owner. And please check us out. Give us a call. We'd love to talk to you.
I've got pilot reports, video, all kinds of information available on the Hawks. Flown just about all the models there was over the years, I think. That's available on buydanjohnson.com or bydanjohnson.com. Thanks a lot for coming along today.
More and more pilots of little planes are asking themselves, what color is their parachute? It was a beautiful day for flying. Ernst Kuhn of Neuss, Germany, was piloting his small 2-seater 1,000 feet above some idyllic French countryside near the town of Gap. In an instant, it became a pilot's worst nightmare. Out of the corner of his eye, he saw an airplane climbing right toward him.
So what I did, pull a little bit. Then when you see the video, something happened. I believe it was a rope in my propeller.
It sure was. He was ensnared in a cable used by a plane towing a glider. He was dropping like a stone. So what did he do?
The first I did was switch off the engine. And immediately afterwards, pull the parachute.
A parachute not just for him, but for his whole plane. He wafted into an orchard and walked away without a scratch.
I can't understand how it was so, but it was so. It was a moment with, I think, very, very much adrenaline.
Ernst was saved by a rocket-propelled parachute system for airplanes made by Ballistic Recovery Systems of St. Paul, Minnesota. The company claims the chutes have saved 199 lives. Cirrus Designs is the first company to build general aviation airplanes with BRS parachutes as standard equipment. And Ernst rebuilt his little bird himself. And of course, installed a new chute before he took flight again.
Do you think that you are alive today because of that parachute?
Yes, 100%. 100%.
Parachutes cost between $3,000 and $20,000, depending on which plane you're putting it into. Of course, when you ask Ernst about
worth every penny.
it's like the credit card commercial. Priceless, right?